Dear Patriots, please subscribe to our patriotic channel. Like and share this video so your friends can see it. Thank you. Obama responds to Trump ending the Iran deal and he's not happy. Today President Trump pulled the United States out of Obama's disastrous Iran deal, also known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Obama just responded to this decision and needless to say he's not happy, calling Trump's actions misguided. From IJR. This was a horrible, one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made, Trump said. It didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will. Well now, Obama has responded. In a long statement, the former president explained that today's announcement is so misguided. He added, walking away from the JCPOA turns our back on America's closest allies, and an agreement that our country's leading diplomats, scientists, and intelligence professionals negotiated. Obama explained his reasoning in 6 different points. 1. First, the JCPOA was not just an agreement between my administration and the Iranian government. After years of building an international coalition that could impose crippling sanctions on Iran, we reached the JCPOA together with the United Kingdom, France, Germany, the European Union, Russia, China, and Iran. It is a multilateral arms control deal, unanimously endorsed by United Nations Security Council resolution. 2. Second, the JCPOA has worked in rolling back Iran's nuclear program. For decades, Iran had steadily advanced its nuclear program, approaching the point where they could rapidly produce enough fissile material to build a bomb. The JCPOA put a lid on that breakout capacity. Since the JCPOA was implemented, Iran has destroyed the core of a reactor that could have produced weapons-grade plutonium, removed 2/3 of its centrifuges, over 13,000, and placed them under international monitoring, and eliminated 97% of its stockpile of enriched uranium, the raw materials necessary for a bomb. So by any measure, the JCPOA has imposed strict limitations on Iran's nuclear program and achieved real results. 3. Third, the JCPOA does not rely on trust, it is rooted in the most far-reaching inspections and verification regime ever negotiated in an arms control deal. Iran's nuclear facilities are strictly monitored. International monitors also have access to Iran's entire nuclear supply chain, so that we can catch them if they cheat. Without the JCPOA, this monitoring and inspections regime would go away. 4. Fourth, Iran is complying with the JCPOA. That was not simply the view of my administration. The United States intelligence community has continued to find that Iran is meeting its responsibilities under the deal, and has reported as much to Congress. So have our closest allies, and the international agency responsible for verifying Iranian compliance, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. 5. Fifth, the JCPOA does not expire. The prohibition on Iran ever obtaining a nuclear weapon is permanent. Some of the most important and intrusive inspections codified by the JCPOA are permanent. Even as some of the provisions in the JCPOA do become less strict with time, this won't happen until 10, 15, 20, or 25 years into the deal, so there is little reason to put those restrictions at risk today. 6. Finally, the JCPOA was never intended to solve all of our problems with Iran. We were clear right that Iran engages in destabilizing behavior, including support for terrorism, and threats toward Israel and its neighbors. But that's precisely why it was so important that we prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Every aspect of Iranian behavior that is troubling is far more dangerous if their nuclear program is unconstrained. Our ability to confront Iran's destabilizing behavior, and to sustain a unity of purpose with our allies, is strengthened with the JCPOA, and weakened without it. He stated that without the JCPOA, the United States could eventually be left with a losing choice between a nuclear-armed Iran or another war in the Middle East. Going forward, I hope that Americans continue to speak out in support of the kind of strong, principled, fact-based, and unifying leadership that can best secure our country and uphold our responsibilities around the globe, he concluded. Dear Patriots, please subscribe to our patriotic channel. Like and share this video so your friends can see it. Thank you. Trump just got priceless justice. Legal action is finally coming and the timing couldn't be better. As more is revealed about the level of corruption and the degree of conflict of interest that exists within Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team, it becomes more abundantly clear Mueller's many actions are a stain upon the legacy of American jurisprudence. President Donald Trump is now suggesting that angry Democrats on Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team could potentially face legal action over these conflicts of interest. President Trump states, "The 13 angry Democrats in charge of the Russian witch hunt are starting to find out that there is a court system in place that actually protects people from injustice. And just wait till the courts get to see your unrevealed conflicts of interest." Naturally, CNN was quick to point out that President Trump did not provide proof of the alleged conflicts. Yet, CNN themselves has previously reported that several members of Mueller's team have donated to Democrats, several exclusively so. A handful more either worked directly with or for Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama in some prior capacity. Russia's meddling in the 2016 election also has been the subject of several Republican-led congressional inquiries. President Trump has suggested this probe is being dragged out as a means to damage Republican chances at re-election. Several leaked questions that Mueller is interested in asking President Trump are related to possible obstruction of justice actions. President Trump states that such questions amount to a setup and trap and that it would seem very hard to obstruct justice for a crime that never happened. Last month, President Trump also stated on Fox and Friends that he might at some point step in and take action against the Justice Department, which is overseeing the special counsel investigation. Mueller is a Republican who was appointed by President George W. Bush, and the man who appointed him as special counsel, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, was appointed by current President Trump. Meanwhile, Representative Louis Gohmert, Texas R., from Texas' 1st Congressional District attempted to shed some light on Mueller's rather long, troubling, and sordid history of illicitly targeting innocent people. Gohmert states, "Judging by Mueller's history, it doesn't matter who he has to threaten, harass, prosecute or bankrupt to get to allege something or, for that matter, anything. It certainly appears Mueller will do whatever it takes to bring down his target, ethically or unethically, based on my findings." What does former Attorney General Eric Holder say? Sounds like much the same thing I just said. Holder has stated, "I've known Bob Mueller for 20, 30 years, my guess is he's just trying to make the case as good as he possibly can." Holder does know him. He has seen Mueller at work when Holder was obstructing justice and was therefore held in contempt of Congress. He knows Mueller's FBI framed innocent people and had no remorse in doing so. Gohmert describes Mueller's disreputable, twisted history and how it speaks to the character of the man placed in a position to attempt to legalize a coup against a lawfully elected president. He explains, "Any Republican who says anything resembling, Bob Mueller will do a good job as special counsel, Bob Mueller has a great reputation for being fair, or anything similar, either, A, wants President Trump indicted for something and removed from office regardless of his innocence, B, is intentionally ignorant of the myriad of outrageous problems permeating Mueller's professional history, or, C, is cultivating future Democrat votes when he or she comes before the Senate someday for a confirmation hearing." From his early years as an FBI director, Gohmert describes how Mueller was given a pass in oversight hearing from most Republican members of Congress. This allowed him to avoid answering any tough questions. Gohmert states they were continually told, Bush appointed him. So it was okay to proceed. He also describes how glaring problems became evident very quickly. The Boston Globe noted Mueller's connection with the Whitey Bulger case in an article entitled, "One Lingering Question for FBI Director Robert Mueller During His FBI Tenure." The Globe stated this dash. Mike Albano, former parole board member who was threatened by 2 FBI agents for considering parole for the men imprisoned for a crime they did not commit, was appalled that, later that same year, Mueller was appointed FBI director, because it was Mueller, first as an assistant U.S. attorney then as the acting U.S. attorney in Boston, who wrote letters to the Parole and Pardons Board throughout the 1980s opposing clemency for the 4 men framed by FBI lies. Of course, Mueller was also in that position while Whitey Bulger was helping the FBI cart off his criminal competitors even as he buried bodies in shallow graves along the Neponset. During this time Mueller was the head of the criminal division as Assistant U.S. Attorney, and then later as Acting U.S. Attorney. No explanation as to exactly why Mueller insisted on keeping the defendants in prison that FBI agents, in the pocket of Whitey Bulger, had framed for a murder they did not commit can be found anywhere. Perhaps not good people themselves, nevertheless not guilty of these crimes. However, it is indicative of a larger and more insidious pattern demonstrating Mueller's penchant for convicting and putting people in jail he disliked, even if they were innocent of the charges, much more so than he was with ferreting out the truth. Mueller bore no responsibility for $100 million paid to the defendants who were framed by FBI agents under his control either. As the Boston Globe noted, thanks to the FBI's corruption, taxpayers got stuck with the $100 million bill for compensating the framed men, two of whom, Greco and Tamlio, died in prison. Of note, the New York Times had this to say of the relationship. In the 1980s, while FBI agent Mr. Connolly was working with Whitey Bulger, Mr. Mueller was Assistant United States Attorney in Boston in charge of the criminal division and for a period was the acting United States Attorney here, presiding over Mr. Connolly and Mr. Bulger as a top echelon informant. Officials of the Massachusetts State Police and the Boston Police Department had long wondered why their investigations of Mr. Bulger were always compromised before they could gather evidence against him, and they suspected that the FBI was protecting him. Frankly, if Mueller had no knowledge that the FBI agents he employed were actively engaging in criminal activity, then he was so blind as to be woefully unfit for any type of criminal case supervision. Either way, Mueller actively helped to contribute to the damages as he helped to frame individuals by working to prevent them from being paroled from prison even while their charges were in the process of being completely thrown out of court. Notice also the evidence of a pattern throughout Mueller's career, the leaking of information to disparage Mueller's targets. In the Whitey Bulger case, the leaks were to organized crime, the mafia. One of the most fundamental tenets of our republic is that of the rights of an individual to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. An arrest is a seizure of your person. Anyone imprisoned has to have committed a specific crime for which they are found guilty. Yet Mueller has literally made a mockery of everything this country stands for. As Gohmert points out, Mueller has the anti-Santa Claus list, and, if you are on his list, you get punished even if you are framed. Dear Patriots, please subscribe to our patriotic channel. Like and share this video so your friends can see it. Thank you. Melania's morning message to everyone who mocked her personally yesterday is absolutely priceless. First Lady Melania Trump made history yesterday with her anti-bullying initiative to protect kids against this epidemic. When it was leaked over the weekend that she had plans to formally present her platform on Monday, she was immediately insulted for her effort, by hateful detractors who claimed she took too long to get this overdue promise started. There's literally nothing this woman can do that doesn't end in immense bullying from adults who should have matured beyond that stage in life years ago. However, they were just getting started. Seconds after her presentation, Melania endured an onslaught of verbal abuse, coming after her personally, like ridiculing her accent and attacking her child. There's no better example of what Melania is trying to tackle than that which these so-called professionals displayed. Just because our exceptionally class First Lady observes and listens more than she speaks, doesn't mean that she's incapable of making an impact. That's what she just did this morning with a message to all of those who enjoyed making fun of her yesterday, which has now left them suddenly speechless. At Monday's event, Melania spoke compassionately and with a passion for three major causes that are very near to her heart and important for our nation. There are too many critical issues facing children today, so the three main pillars of Be Best will include well-being, social media use, and opioid abuse. We can and should teach children the importance of social and self-awareness, positive relationship skills, and responsible decision-making, she said from a podium outside the White House, perfectly poised in front of a sea of media sharks waiting to bite. As soon as people got their opportunity to attack, they did, and nothing was left off the table. They cut Melania down to the core over how she speaks, her adult stepchildren, and even how she looks. According to the Daily Caller, First Lady Melania Trump revealed her signature campaign to combat bullying and drug use Monday afternoon at the White House, and the internet reacted by making fun of her accent. The campaign, called Be Best, is aimed at creating a healthy lifestyle for students on social media and in the classroom, as well as preventing opioid abuse among students. However, the anti-cyberbullying nature of the program was completely missed by some influential commenters online. Verified Twitter accounts of online influencers and reporters made fun of the First Lady's accent, even though Melania is an immigrant who was born in Slovenia and speaks 5 languages. However, these haters can say all they want and look really ridiculous as adults doing it, but Melania is getting the last laugh. After coming under this attack, she passively surprised them with a message this morning that's undeniable as to how people really feel about her, especially those well-adjusted adults who have better things to do than sit on social media all day mocking the First Lady. Daily Caller reports. First Lady Melania Trump is experiencing a major surge in popularity, according to a new poll. CNN reports, in a poll conducted by SSRS last week, 57% say they have a favorable impression of Trump, up from 47% in January. CNN also notes that data presents the biggest number Melania Trump has experienced in any CNN polling, and higher than any favorability rating earned by President Donald Trump in CNN polling history going back to 1999. Previous polling indicated that Melania was more popular with Americans as First Lady than Hillary Clinton was. The fact that her approval rating has soared with her initiative is excellent news and should send a message to all of these online and media sleuths that people are listening to her and appreciate her more than they care what these immature imbeciles have to say. As an extra smack in the face, her ratings aren't just way up, they are far better than Hillary Clinton's ever were when she was FLOTUS. Truth hurts, I guess, and these detractors online are reacting to the reality in the only way they know how. Idiotic personal insults, just like the rest of the kids on the playground.